everyone, Brian here, doing another video for you guys, and this time, things might look a little different. My webcam is completely busted, so I have to use my camera now. But we're going to be talking about some Transformers figures that were revealed during SDCC 2025. We are going to take a look at the Age of the Prime stuff for this video, and then the next video we're going to focus on the Studio Series stuff. But let's go ahead and get started with the deluxe lineup. We've got Sureshot, and this guy looks fantastic, and not only that, it's about damn time too, because we have been hearing that there's been a Sureshot in the works for years. I think even before Legacy they said, oh, here's a listing for Sureshot, and that did not happen. So finally they decided, okay, enough is enough, we gotta produce Sureshot, and here he is, and I think he looks fantastic. The body does look a little tall, but I think it's better proportioned even compared to the original toy. I am curious to see exactly how the chest is supposed to transform, because it does look like it's supposed to fold up inside, and I don't know how the waist is supposed to attach, but I am very curious about that. And I really like how it's not afraid to have the big tires on the back of the legs, unlike the Crosshairs from Siege, which just took the Ironhide and it didn't have the big wheels. I mean, come on, you gotta have the big wheels. I also like the colors. It's very Hot Rod in its style. I love the orange fins on the side of the arms. I think that's a nice flare. The red legs might be a little too much for some people, but considering that it's supposed to be bright and bold, I do like it. And also, he's got the Target Master Spoilsport, which is awesome, because, you know, that continues the trend that, yes, these are actual Target Master characters. They're not just repaints or whatever. No, they got the full-on Target Masters, so that's good. It's probably going to transform in the same vein as the Pinpointer. Don't know what I said. The Pinpointer from the Point Blank figure, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, he does look really nice, and I'm just glad that they finally produced that. Next up is the Deluxe Class Combaticon Blast Off. This one I'm very thrilled about. I love the Combaticon, so I'm already on board with this, but I mean, Blast Off has a very solid shape. They've been really nailing the Combaticons, and we're going to see two others. But some people might not like the purple for the canopy. It might be a little too much, or it might be a little too random, but I don't mind it because it gives him a little bit of color. It's a lot of black. I think I would have preferred a little more brown in the color scheme. I don't mind that he's got two pistols, and I love the fact that he's got the traditional cartoon style head, where it almost looks like he's got just a giant eyeball. But yeah, he's even got the thrusters in the feet, which do remind me of the Combiner Wars figure. You could plug the guns on the hands or on the side of the arms, and it will slap on to the Bruticus arms. So it is going to be the skeleton Combiner, but I think that should not be really a shock to anyone. But I gotta say, Blast Off looks pretty cool, and I'm also glad that it's not the Combiner Wars jet thing like last time. Imagine if this was another repaint of Slingshot. Anyways, moving on, we also have Jalapi. So they took a name that was thrown out there, and they took the color scheme of a comic character, and they produced this, which is kind of weird. Considering that Jalapi, I think, if anything in the comics, it was a repaint of Jazz. They basically etched out a Jazz design and gave it these colors, but no, they decide, okay, we're going to make it a Junkion. And I think that's a little bit better, because the Jazz remold was just kind of weird. This kind of feels like, yeah, it's in tune with the other Junkions, but it feels like his own thing. He feels like he fits a little better here. Now, what's interesting about it is it's a repaint of the axle grease. So the axle grease never got the traditional Junkion colors of the orange, the red, the grays, and you know, whatnot. So they decided to throw that in, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea, especially considering that if you transform the, sorry, I meant Combaticons, the Junkions, I don't know why that slipped my mind, but if you combine them to make that T-Rex and you think, oh, that's weird that axle grease is purple, it's kind of throwing it off, guess what, you could swap it out for this. I like the yellow flames, I like the engine on the top. Now what's really interesting is it's kind of a partial retool of that, and toe line, because it's got Toad Line's head from the Robots in the Sky series. So yeah, they decided to swap that out at the very least to give it something different. But yeah, it's going to be a repaint of that. Anyways, moving on, we also have Quickstrike. I'm thrilled about Quickstrike. He's one of my favorite Beast Wars characters. He's got a nice energy to him, so I'm thrilled about this. I like the Cobra-style head that you can see on the tail. I like the color scheme with the cyan, the gold. I like the claws, which are formed from the legs. I love that the head sculpt for the Beast mode isn't trying to go for something realistic. It's more so like the original animation, like the original cartoon. And his robot head, I mean, it's just stellar. He's got a nice, chunky, rounded body, but the claws form the feet. Yeah, this is a day one pickup for me. Anyways, moving on. We also have... Come on. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. We have Quintis Prime. And I'm thrilled about this. It looks like a vegetable, but Quintis Prime is the prime of life, if I'm not mistaken, so it does make sense. The ship mode does look kind of weird. I actually don't mind the front of it, but the back of it is just a bunch of trees and vines. But, you know, it doesn't need to be anything. The robot mode is the big, you know, key point of having Quintis Prime. And I love the tentacles that droop down to form this... I keep saying it's a cape, but it's more like a dress kind of thing. But he just looks wise, noble. He looks like he's got a lively energy to him. I like the green fade, especially the lime green. I'm kind of hoping that's transparent, because if it is, I want to put kind of like a light underneath it. I think a nice glow would be fantastic. The head sculpt looks really cool. I'm definitely on board with this. Anyways, I keep clicking the wrong button. We've got the Voyager Class Brawl. So this is going to continue with the Combaticon. So Swindle is going to be a Voyager Class. This is going to be a Voyager Class, which is cool because that kind of feels like it breaks up the tradition of these combiners if you look at Menasor and Superion. But Brawl in the Combiner Wars line did not really look right to me. I did not like the torso. Here, he looks fantastic. He looks more natural. I like the tank mode. The front of it looks kind of weird, but otherwise, you know, it's fine. I like the fact that you could plug the two cannons on the back. It's got the basic barrel at the front, and then it's got the little gun, which you could plug in the hand. And then just take a look at the robot. He's got these nice dark colors. He's got the traditional green. He's very boxy. But I also love the head sculpt and how how they managed to add the red for the battle mask. It kind of makes his head look like a furnace. So, really nice there. I keep clicking the wrong button. Anyways, next up we have the Voyager Class Reckgar, and I know some people are disappointed. I would like to see a new mold, but considering that Reckgar is a garbage truck and they already produced the Trash Master, I guess that does make sense, but it's got all the chains and whatnot. It's kind of the same thing with me and the Toe Line figure. I just felt like it was too Mad Maxy for the character, but I'm okay with this considering that Reckgar is basically made from junk. So I think that's kind of fitting. The alt mode looks fine. I'm glad that it doesn't have the tan and I think it was like the lighter gray. It's more the traditional animated colors with the red thrown into the orange. The robot mode looks pretty cool. I love the head and how it's got that boxy shape. And the rest of it is fine, but what I really love is the weapon, because it's that claw weapon, but if you switch it around, that looks more like the toy weapon. And I never clued into that up until now. This was slapped in our face the entire time, and we did not figure that out. Anyways, the next one is probably the reason why we're getting the Junkions anyways, and we're getting these weaponizers, is Amalgamus Prime. Now, he's got this very nice design for the robot mode. It's definitely evoking that Transformers 1 kind of style, but they do change it up quite a bit. I think that's fine enough. He does come with his scythe, which is pretty cool. And I like the gold accents thrown throughout, and you can see that his parts are very different. You can see that the legs are... Oh no, that's the back of the scythe. Okay, never mind. But you can see that there's just parts thrown throughout, and he does transform into the spider tank. His head sculpt is very much like Shockwave, so I'm kind of getting a Galactic Man vibe out of this. But he's supposed to be this weaponizer style figure, and what's cool about this is you don't need to make the spider tank mode. Instead, you can make multiple different modes. So they mentioned that there's like 5 different alt modes that you can make, and all the limbs can come off. And apparently what they said is, I think the limbs can also transform into their own thing. Now, I'm not sure if that's 100% true, or if they just meant that you can disconnect and combine the limbs to form different modes. But I think that's a really cool gimmick, and I'm glad that they're bringing in some of the characters to really home into that gimmick in this particular wave. Anyways, moving on, we have Razorclaw, which is a repaint of the Tigerhawk. And I like the Tigerhawk. I know some people don't, but I really like Tigerhawk, so I'm fine with this. I like the black, I like the purple, I like the red. 1, 2, 3. I think it's a little too much black. I do like the purple accents, and I kind of wish there was more throughout that, especially with the Beast mode, but the Robot mode looks very dark, and I'm a sucker for the Universe repaints, especially the 2003 Universe line. So I'm on board with this. You know, we got the Toxitron out of that, we got the Night Prowler, we got the, I think it's Buzzsaw out of that. So very cool. And moving right along, we have Leader Class Big Convoy. So this is based on the Beast Wars Neo character. We already have the Magmatron, which kind of goes hand in hand with this. And if you were wondering, they actually did not know if they were going to do Big Convoy when Magmatron came out. I know some people thought that with the packaging art, but apparently that's not the case. But I guess that was enough to pitch in the Leader Class Big Convoy. I thought that this guy was going to be a Commander Class, but no, they opt out for a Leader Class toy. And I'm fine with that because it's a lot of bulk on the figure itself, but he could probably scale well with some of the other Optimus Prime figures. I love the tusks. And apparently they attach with 5mm ports, so you can attach different things to that. I could be wrong. The head sculpt itself does look very cool. Apparently it's got articulated ears. You can see the robot chest underneath it. I don't necessarily mind that because I think, for what it's worth, the majority of it pretty much covers it up. It's got an articulated tusk, and what's cool is that the head will be able to transform into the bazooka weapon, much like the original toy. The robot mode looks very nice. I like the outgoing white colors, and the blue and the red that's more traditional to the Optimus Prime or convoys, and then you've got a little bit of gold. I like that he's got his own little pistol, but again, you got that bazooka thing. It is very panely, but I think it's done a lot better than the original toy. And I'm kind of hoping that we get a blue repaint as the Ultra Mammoth. I think that would be pretty awesome, but if we just stick with this, I'm fine with it. I think they will do Ultra Mammoth because this isn't the Commander class, and usually they're a little easier to repaint. And I think that considering that we have the Razorclaw, I wouldn't be opposed to the Ultra Mammoth. We also need a Cryotech. Come on, guys. Anyways, moving on, we have this render. This is last but not least for Age of the Primes. This is Onslaught. So this is going to be the next Commander class figure, and apparently there is a rumor that the other Commander class figure, because we're getting 2 Commander classes rather than the Titan for Age of the Primes, is going to be Armada Jetfire, but I could be wrong about that. It would be cool to be able to combine with the Armada Optimus Prime. Anyways, take a look at the Commander Class Onslaught. You will need this to form Bruticus. In fact, you probably just need this alone to form Bruticus. But I really like how Onslaught himself does look. It's going to be roughly Voyager Class height, if I'm not mistaken. And it will have the whole base setup that will probably transform into some sort of thing. And then, you know, it's going to form the trailer, which actually does make sense for Onslaught. I think that's a little bit better than what they did with the Superion. And I just think that the robot mode, the silhouette here looks pretty good. I think that this is what's going to be the package art. So for people thinking, oh, he's got an ab crunch, he's got all this articulation that seems very smooth. It's just the render image. But yeah, I love the head sculpt. I like that he's got the cannons on the back. I'm just curious to see exactly how he's going to combine. So with that out of the way, those are the Age of the Prime stuff. The next video will focus on Studio Series. What do you guys think? Please comment below, let me know. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to all those fun doodads, and we'll see you guys next time.